talking about predetermination, which happens all the time. Why'd you catch that?
Because it was going to fall.
You're certain?
Yeah.
But it didn't fall. You caught it.
The Minority Report is a short story written by Philip K. Dick in 1956 about the system of crime fighting via precognitive information from three people with the power of foresight, and what happens when the system reveals a murderer from within itself. The story was adapted into a film nearly 50 years later in the form of Steven Spielberg's Minority Report, which is the same premise and basic story outline as the original story, but with plenty of new additions and twists. In the short story, the main character, John Anderton, is a balding man in his 50s who was the creator of pre-crime, the infamous justice system which inducts criminals into a detention center before they can commit the crime. However, in the movie, John is a man in his 30s who did not create, but joined pre-crime after his son Sean's kidnapping, Lamar Burgess being the one who created pre-crime. In the 1956 version of the story, the precogs, the people who basically predict the future crimes, they are described as mentally disabled, while in the movie they are actually somewhat intelligent, with a semblance of speech. The villains are also different. The villain in the short story is Leopold Kaplan, who wants to take down pre-crime so his army may take over law enforcement within the city or country, or however large they're spanning it, once again. In the movie, the villain is Lamar Burgess, the person who created pre-crime, and he sets up John to kill another person to disguise a murder that he committed years ago. Let's talk similarities. Both have the exact same main characters, albeit the precognitives do have different names. Both John Andertons end up fulfilling their precognitive destiny, and both Andertons end up taking out their main old villain dude out in public, although Lamar took himself out. And what is missing, I would probably have to say that there is no eye sequence with the spiders in the original short story, seeing as it was only, about 20 pages? I don't know if they could fit that in there. In the story, Anderton did not have a son, and there was no Anne Lively murder. When you're comparing the two, I'd have to say the film focuses a little more on action than the intellectual conspiracy stuff than the short story does. The short story action scenes are very rare, and there's a lot more conspiracy and paranoia in that version. I'd have to say the short story is probably a little more fantastical than the movie, because they're taking ships to other planets and colonies and stuff, and we're just stuck here with sticks that make you barf. Ultimately, however, they are both very smart, great stories. This has been my compare-contrast adaptation video. And everyone, remember, if you've seen this movie, everybody runs.